California is one of the richest states in the USA. However, it's hard to believe what's happening in this northern suburb of Los Angeles every week. In this parking lot, 3,000 cars are waiting in line for food to be handed out. Millions of Americans have lost their jobs as a result of the health crisis and are struggling to make ends meet.
Can you pop the trunk? Thank you.
The food bank is open to everyone regardless of their income. Each family receives 3 boxes of food.
Choke up the 3 lanes.
Just enough to last a week between 4 people.
Keep going.
Amy's in charge of logistics, with every last detail organized.
So what we have here, the fruit that we're giving are plums, grapes, oranges, and then here we have frozen chicken items, and it's 20 pounds. What they're getting today too is a box of masks. Low-income households don't have the funding to purchase these masks.
How many households? How many families?
One.
Just one?
These middle-class Americans have fallen into poverty overnight.
Dos trabajos que tenía, lo cerraron. En el restaurante porque se habían cerrado y car wash. Tengo 4, pesadito.
We heard might be, like they've been cut off their employment and everything, and so we might as well just be prepared.
Even more surprising, we come across luxury cars like this Mustang, BMW, and Tesla, worth almost $60,000. Like many others, this executive hasn't been spared by the crisis.
We are surprised because you drive a Tesla, which is a car everyone wants to drive, and still you're here like everyone.
I lost my job.
What do you do?
I work for an import distribution company, and I've been with the company for 11 years, but the company is having a very difficult time. So I may be called back in several months, not sure. Very uncertain at this point.
In California alone, 2.5 million workers lost their jobs at the height of the pandemic.
Station number 3, Estación 3.
Amy has never seen so many recipients.
Just last week, they were able to make that car payment. They were able to make that house payment. And now, really, it's everyone across the board is going through some sort of challenge at home.
Amy is supported by around 100 volunteers. A lot of them have found themselves unemployed due to COVID. Leslie was a sports coach.
You need to do good things for others to feel good about yourself.
I've been volunteering a long time for us,
How could this be? Never in my lifetime did I ever think that we would be in this situation. This is America. I'm actually angry that the person in the Oval Office didn't act sooner and make some right choices.
According to the organization Feeding America, 1 American in 6 could struggle to feed themselves by the end of the year. In the US, the pandemic has already caused 200,000 deaths, and it has led to the worst recession the country has seen since the 30s.
I want every American to be prepared for the hard days that lie ahead.
After years of spectacular growth, this unprecedented economic crisis has caught America off guard. In just a few months, the USA's GDP recorded a historic drop of 33%. New York and its 8 million inhabitants are at a standstill. Las Vegas now a ghost town. Factories closed down, deserted malls. Empty airports. American giants like Disney or American Airlines have made hundreds of thousands of people redundant. Joe Biden fears the looming social crisis.
Enough. Each day, the pandemic death toll grows. And each day, too many American workers are still out of work and losing hope.
More than 11 million Americans have lost their job over the past few months. The government introduced federal aid for the unemployed. $600 a week for 4 months.
Today I signed the Paycheck Protection Program and Healthcare Enhancement Act, providing $320 billion to keep American workers on the payroll.
But this didn't stop millions of workers falling under the poverty line. Marc and Selene closed their restaurant overnight due to COVID. Without any income or health insurance, they don't know how they're going to pay their son's hospital fees.
To fix his arm, $11,000.
Unable to pay their rent, 40 million tenants will have been threatened with an eviction notice between now and the end of the year. Kirsten waits every day for the sheriff to come and throw her out onto the street.
You're trespassing now.
Middle-class families are finding themselves homeless. Stephen and Anita were earning more than $100,000 a year. Now they live in their car.
One of our old blankets from the house and put that on top of my clean clothes.
Even oil millionaires have been affected by the recession. Carl has had to sell his oil wells.
The COVID and lack of demand for fuels has made it worse than ever.
Some people still manage to make it through in the midst of a pandemic. Thomas and Arthur, two French nationals based in California, have started manufacturing antibacterial and anti-COVID masks.
On a vendu des dizaines de milliers déjà. On fait à peu près du x3 en termes de volume de vente.
Will the American dream survive this crisis after Biden has been elected president? From Texas to California, via the rural landscapes of the Midwest, we travel through an America on the brink of a depression. Wisconsin, in the northwest of America, is nicknamed America's Dairy Farm. But these farms have recently become symbols of the economic crisis. Due to lack of demand, the price of milk has collapsed. Not a week goes by without a farmer going bankrupt. This morning, a public auction has been organised on this farm. Farmers from all over Wisconsin are ready for a bidding war. All the dairy equipment on this farm is for sale.
Look at here. Yeah. 7? Yeah. 18. Yeah.
Curious neighbours, but also owners of larger farms who are looking for a good deal.
Spreader, shooter, the cow brushes, we'll sell all of that in there.
Among the most prized goods are agricultural machinery.
This is an old truck that's 50 years old. It's not worth a lot.
Paul, the owner of this 250-hectare family-run farm, is the one selling all this material. With the pandemic, he has lost almost 40% of his revenue. He has therefore decided to stop working and to take early retirement. However, the business was flourishing before COVID hit. Paul had 7 employees.
This is where we milked.
And was producing 6,000 gallons of milk a day.
My dad used to milk 20 cows in here, and we were milking 450 3 times a day.
But last March, the price of milk crashed. With lockdown, it was impossible to sell the farm's produce.
My milk goes to pizza. A lot of it went to New York for the cheese for the pizzas and in Chicago. And they shut all the restaurants down, so they don't need the cheese. You don't need the cheese, they don't want the milk, so the milk went in there. 6,000 gallons, truckload. So that figures out to around, $9,000 worth of milk.
Millions of farmers like Paul have had to throw away their milk. More than 25 million gallons were also poured away in April. This is what Paul's barn looks like now. He has sold his 450 cows. Over the past few years, dairy farmers in the region have already been affected by a serious crisis.
There used to be hundreds of dairies in McHenry County, and now there's maybe
Harvard,
25.
Illinois was the milk center of the world. Yeah, it ain't now. There's nothing left. No.
For these farmers, COVID was fatal.
Well, when you get paid $12 and $13 a hundred, and it takes $17 to produce it, it's kind of the backward trend.
Paul has a lot riding on this auction in order to pay off his debts.
Hey, sunshine. Big money day today.
Yeah, big money. You're here, so...
No, I'm here to bid it out.
A couple green tractors out there.
Yeah.
To seduce buyers, Paul is presenting the goods himself.
1973 Ford, only 12,000 miles on rebuilt Detroit diesel. All right, real good truck, ready to go to work here. What do you want to get here? Here, 84, now 85, 84, now 8500, 84, now 8500, 84, now 8500.
The bidding starts well.
84, 85, 84, 85, 84, 85.
It's now on to the main event. A six-wheeled monster, very popular with farmers.
Really nice lights.
It's Paul's favourite machine. The price is rising quickly. Several buyers bid against one another. Two farmers won this auction in the end.
Now 64.5, now 65, now 65, now 65, now 65 and a half, now 65, now 65 and a half.
Around $25,000 more than the starting bid.
Thank you very much. Good job. 151.
151 is the number, 151.
Straight after the sale, the new owners head off with their tractor. Paul should have made around $300,000, just enough to pay off his last debts.
It went pretty good. I wish I got more. What do? That's the way an auction goes, you know. So.
1/3 of independent farmers could go bankrupt in the US by the end of the year. In the face of this crisis, it's only the large dairy farms that are doing well. On the other side of the country, Texas, the land of black gold, is also suffering the full force of the economic crisis. Workers and engineers were arriving from all over the country before the pandemic, attracted by oil money. In recent years, Midland's population has grown by 30%. With its 150,000 inhabitants, it had become the American black gold capital. But now Midland seems like a ghost town. The town centre is still empty months after the lockdown. Construction is at a standstill. Shops and restaurants are closed. COVID has paralysed the local economy. For those who haven't left town, times have become difficult. This is Marc and Selene, two Mexican-born restaurant owners who live in this house with their 6 children. The couple ran a Mexican restaurant in Midland before COVID. After being open for only 6 months, when the business had only just started to make money, the pandemic forced them to close their premises. A few weeks later, they declared themselves bankrupt.
Cerramos la cocina primero y luego pues dimos, tenemos catering. We got catering. Tenemos $20,000, $25,000 por mes haciendo dinero. Todo.
Yeah.
Todo lo llamaron.
Llamaron, todo cancelado, todo cancelado. Lloramos. Sí, lloramos porque ¿de qué íbamos a vivir?
Marc has been anxiously checking his emails every morning since. He's hoping to be called for a catering job, but during a crisis,
Vente, papi.
events are scarce.
You know, this is why we do it.
Marc and Selene live with their 4 young children. The 2 oldest are no longer at home. Only Jesse is awake this morning to eat breakfast with his parents.
You gonna pray? No? Me? Okay. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the food. I ask, Lord, to bless it to our bodies and our bodies to service. Amen.
Like many others, they believed in the American dream, success in their careers. Their restaurant is located in the centre of town. It was Marc and Selene's lifelong dream. They had invested $120,000 after saving for months.
Mucho para invertir, de repente volteas y ya no hay nada en la cuenta de banco. Ya no hay nada, se fue.
Almost like a light switch. Party's over.
Overnight, they found themselves without income, a humiliating failure that Marc has almost never recovered from.
I tried to commit suicide 3 or 4 times actually. I hate to say it, but you know, there's times in your moment you get inside your mind, and then you feel like there's no hope, and then you think, "What? I mean, I'm worthless." You think, my family would be better off without me because I let them down.
20,000 restaurants have already shut down in the US. For those bankrupt owners, the consequences extend far beyond their business. Marc and Selene have just received a letter from their landlord threatening them with eviction. They are 2 months behind on the rent, more than $4,000 in debt.
What's the problem? Okay. Oh. Huh? This is the Texas property code that they say that if I cannot pay that amount, then I have after the 20 days, then they can kick me out. We can't. We have to hit $6,000 a month. I mean, it's all included for our cost of living.
The situation is now critical for the couple. Marc is willing to try anything, so he asks for help via social media.
Yeah, we are being evicted in 3 days. COVID is hitting West Texas in more ways of just being sick, but God is still with us.
Marc will know in a few days if his cry for help has been heard and if the family can escape eviction. At the start of the pandemic, most of the states introduced a standstill period to prevent tenants from ending up on the streets. But since the summer, a dozen states have started evicting people, like here in Ohio. The court is overwhelmed here in the city of Columbus.
This information, they put it on my door. They're trying to get me out.
100 tenants a day are summoned to be evicted during the pandemic. Tonica is waiting to go before the judge. This mum owes her landlord 6 months' rent, almost $5,000.
My field of employment is customer service and customer care. Once the pandemic hit, everything froze. So for the past 4 months, I have literally spent every day calling unemployment to get some assistance. I hate that I'm even in this situation. It's horrible.
Tonica will be pleading her case in the courtroom in just a few minutes. The stack of files is piling up on Judge Gene Edwards' desk. He only has a few minutes to judge each case.
Is it correct that this tenant was owing to the landlord on June 9th?
Yes.
And is this tenant, to the best of your knowledge, still living at that address?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Find in favor of the plaintiff.
Here, the law first protects the owners. It only takes 10 days to evict a tenant.
Based on your testimony, I'll find in favor of the plaintiff. It says I am going to find in favor of the plaintiff.
Thank you.
It's now Tonica's turn to get called up to the bar. At the next desk, the owner of her apartment and her lawyer.
Do you swear to tell the truth this morning? Do you agree or disagree that you owed something to the landlord as of May 6th? Okay. And now, is there anything else you wanted to tell me about the case itself?
Well, if she doesn't want to go through with eviction, that's fine. But can I at least get 2 weeks?
Okay.
Because like I said, now I'm working at home, so I have to figure that out.
I understand.
And still be able to make payment arrangements with her and make payments at the same time.
So what that means, first of all, is that they're getting the option to place this red tag on your door. They're not required to do this, but they are just, like I said, getting the option. If they chose to do that, you'd have 5 days to move out of the property. But as I said, they don't have to do that. They could choose to talk with you, potentially even here this morning. We are. And they're just now telling me that they are interested in at least talking to you, but you'll have to deal with them because at this point, it's just entirely up to them.
Thank you.
The judge suggests an amicable agreement between both parties. Within the confines of the court, tenants can appeal to associations financed by public funds and private donations. Americans are generous. They donate more than $1 billion a day to charities.
Okay, do you have any cash? No. $2 for the bus today. Okay.
Tonica is seen by a social worker. Her landlady joins her. The head of the association can rehouse her or offer her financial assistance. This is Tonica's last chance.
You have to put everything she owes.
The social worker and the landlady do their calculations. In just a few minutes, an agreement is reached. The association is going to take care of most of Tonica's rent debts.
So then today you need to pay $850.22. Okay, and that way you'll be able to pay your September rent.
Tonica is stunned.
Okay.
Wow. She has just avoided eviction, a miracle. The landlady is relieved too.
They need a place to live, and the owner needs their money, and if all that works, then she's back employed. She's actually been my tenant for a long time, and I know that when she's working, the rent is paid. So with the resources, we're able to keep her in her house.
This is a new start for Tonica.
I was in a stuck situation this morning when I woke up, and I got up, meditated, I prayed, drank my juice. I was like, let me just go down here and see, what happens. And I'm glad I did.
On this day, 32 evictions were ordered by the judge, and 15 cases will be resolved amicably. Amongst the 108 million tenants in the US, 40 million will be threatened with eviction by the end of the year. In the neighboring state of Missouri, Americans in Kansas City are being thrown out onto the streets with barely any warning. Kristell has just received an eviction notice. Distraught, she has reached out to local media to inform them of her situation.
Okay.
By telling her story on camera, she hopes to delay the sheriff's arrival, who is responsible for throwing her out.
Basically living a nice, normal life, and then what happened after that?
Because of COVID, Kristell lost her job as an assistant in the construction industry. Her new job only pays $800 a month. This isn't even enough to pay her $1,200 of rent.
And I don't really have friends and family that are able to help, so it's just, what if at this moment? There's not really a whole lot of time to think about.
Kristell hasn't paid her last 2 months of rent. The judge gave her 10 days to leave the premises. On the 13th day, she is gathering her last belongings.
I'm prepping for being homeless. This is just my bathroom necessities, that I would have to take if I was in a shelter, or if I needed to take a shower at the friend's house, or to wash my clothes.
Kristell was living in this house with her 2 daughters. To prevent them from witnessing her eviction, she sent them to stay with her ex-husband. In their old room, she's removing the last memories.
What's left? Jacket that was too small and some broken toys.
She'll leave the rest of her things in a storage unit a few miles away. She pays $115 a month for this, hoping it will be a temporary solution.
This is my life. I have everything that I might need, now, extra clothes, if it gets cold, jackets, tools if my car breaks down, the kids' clothes and stuff like that. If, I need to get to it. I don't even know what's in here. Yeah, kids' clothes, shoes.
Kristell is now listed as a bad tenant. She will be blacklisted as a bad tenant for years as a result of this eviction.
An eviction in Missouri, I think, is 7 years. It stays on your record. So, most places will turn you down because of it.
She won't sleep in the street tonight, however. It's a relief for Kristell. But this will be the last night she spends here. The next morning, a car was parked in front of the house. The sheriff had arrived. Contacted by Kristell, the head of a tenants association arrives. She films the eviction using her cell phone.
What's going on? So what's going on? Are you here to evict the tenant?
Kristell has no other choice. She has to leave the premises as soon as possible with her last belongings.
It seems really violent to make people homeless in the middle of a pandemic.
But you need to talk to somebody else, not me.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Gosh, it must be a really hard job.
It's not easy. I don't enjoy it.
Yeah.
The landlord has sent a locksmith. The man is armed and has no sympathy.
She hasn't paid rent. Where's she gonna go? Someplace else.
Where?
Screw somebody else out of the money.
Huh.
Well, we're not gonna do that.
I mean, people have lost their jobs.
I bet you go in there, you'll find a brand new flat screen. That's where her money went. Every house we closed on was a brand new flat screen in the living room. That's where their stimulus money went. Didn't go to rent, didn't go to food, went to flat screens. So,
Wow.
you know, I don't have any feelings for these people. None.
Kirsten's last minutes in the house are over. The locksmith enters the house to evict the tenant.
Can you show me at 4152 Harrison Street?
Yes, I got my phone.
Oh, your air conditioner.
Yeah, my air conditioner too. I got that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Out. You're trespassing
Show you
now?
on Harrison Street.
Well, I'm just telling you.
Well, trust me, I think I fucking know.
You're welcome, young lady. Have a good day. I
You
hope things
too.
get better for you.
Yeah, I hope you throw some more people out.
Good luck. You gotta go. That's it. All right.
Thanks to the charity, Kirsten will be rehoused in a hotel while waiting for a room in an emergency shelter. Since our filming, Donald Trump has suspended evictions, but they should resume at the end of the year. The health crisis hasn't only hit the American middle class. Here in Texas, it has even impacted oil giants like Shell or Exxon. It has also hit independent producers who represent 83% of American oil production. Like 67-year-old Carl Beach, black gold is his whole life.
I am a third-generation oil and gas producer. I can remember going out there with my dad when I was 12 and 13, started drilling wells and created a family oil and gas company. It's somewhere around 150 to 200 wells. So we've been there for a long time and have wells scattered all over the Permian Basin.
Flights grounded, road traffic in slow motion, the pandemic has reduced the demand for energy. Last April, the price per barrel fell to its lowest level ever. Carl had to shut down all of his oil wells. Something this Texan had never done before in his life.
With oil price went way down when OPEC and then dumped the market, and the oil went from $65 or $70 a barrel to zero, in a matter of months. So that, coupled with the COVID and lack of demand for fuels, has made it worse than ever.
But Carl can't leave his oil business idle for too long. If left unused, the extraction equipment deteriorates. So he has reopened some of his pits.
You got a hole in the tubing?
Yeah, this one's got a hole in the tubing. They're doing
Carl has come to meet his business partner on site.
Just one of your better wells?
This lease was actually down. We didn't have any production, so I had to
you got to get
restore
one on
production.
to keep the lease.
Yeah, have to put one back on production to keep the lease.
The oil is always extracted the old-fashioned way by small producers like Carl.
Virtually unchanged. Not much in the process has changed in these shallow wells from when they were drilled in the 70s.
What does it cost you to drill a well with your equipment?
One of these shallow wells is about $65,000.
Yeah.
Before the pandemic, this business was producing 500 barrels a day. It's now practically at a standstill. Carl and Walker had to make almost all of their employees redundant. In Texas, 100,000 oil workers have lost their job.
We had about 15 employees. We cut down to 4. And this crew right now, they're back just on a contract labor basis. I haven't been able to hire them back on full time. Just as we get work or jobs, I'll call them in and have them come in for a day's worth of work. But we just can't afford to have them on full time right now.
On the day of filming, the barrel price had risen to $37. But to make any profit from the production, American black gold must be worth around $50 a barrel. So while waiting for better days ahead, Carl and his partner store the oil in these tanks.
we aren't making any profit right now. We don't want to sell it at a loss. So we're selling enough just to get by, but we anticipate the price coming back up. And like right now, we're holding on to oil. I have a lot of barrels.
Oil money has made Texas the second largest economy in the country. Upmarket suburbs have sprung up all over the state, like here in northern San Antonio. Carl and his wife live here in this stately home. This evening, the couple invited their neighbours around for a drink.
Yeah, we vacation in New Mexico quite often before all this. And
where do y'all go in New Mexico, really?
Santa Fe and Taos.
Oh, okay, I got you.
While they wait for the next holiday, these Texans know how to have a good time.
First taste. All right, awesome. Sample that.
There you go. Ah, that's good.
But the conversation quickly turns back to business.
We've been more focused on this GTL because I think I can make a lot more money out of it. They project us to make $100 million in less than 5 years.
That'd be pretty nice.
Carl is currently working on a big liquefied gas project, but the election could well cause the whole thing to fail.
They're scared to invest now. They want to see what happens in elections. They're scared if Biden gets elected, they don't know what they're going to do.
For these hardcore Republicans, they already know who they're voting for.
You know, who would take the presidency job in the United States of America? Because that's the worst job in the
Yeah, how does he not just walk away?
I know, but he don't need it. He doesn't need it. He doesn't need that job.
That's right.
Yeah. How many other people do you know go to work and don't take a paycheck?
If we get through this election successfully with Trump, the country will recover quickly.
Yes. Quickly. You're right. Yeah, that's true. That is the truth.
I believe he's done everything that he could possibly do. Yes.
What is worrying Carl at the moment is the price of an oil barrel, which is still far too low. The producer's losing around $10,000 a month. So this Texan thinks it's time to sell some of his wells.
Hey, Don.
This morning, he has a meeting with a trader to see how much he can get.
Okay. So where are your properties located? We're in Anderson County, Texas.
It's a difficult decision for Carl. His family have never sold a single oil well, but with the pandemic, the market is not conducive to doing business.
I think we've lost 50% of our value today, and we've probably spent, over $2 million on that field. And, Don would have to evaluate it, but I would feel like if we could get half our money back, we would be very lucky.
COVID's been brutal to the oil and gas industry. It has been, it's affected all up and down the supply chain.
Carl will go on to sell 48 wells for nearly $1 million, enough to have a bright future ahead of him despite everything. Further north in Texas, we return to Midland. Marc and Selene are still looking for work to pay their rent. But an accident has further complicated their situation. Their 6-year-old son
How's your arm, puppy?
Has broken his elbow while playing basketball.
Remember, the doctor wants you to keep it up.
Jesse will have his operation in 4 days.
When I heard he broke his arm, I was like, oh, what are we going to do?
Unlike France, the US doesn't have accessible health care for everyone.
We had no insurance. We lost our insurance. When we lost our business, we lost everything,
All you going to do?
This at the moment is what we have at the moment. That's all we have. A church had donated to us to help us with the expenses. So this is $400, but to fix his arm, $11,000. And now we have to make payments. $11,000.
How are you going to do that?
I don't know.
Pero payments es como unos 4 años, 5 años para pagar.
We might have to take 4 years to pay.
Yeah.
Or if we have a good catering.
Yeah, también eso.
If work comes back, we can make it. But keep it like that. Okay, I'm gonna go pay the doctor. Okay? You okay, Papa?
Marc heads to the clinic to try and negotiate the hospital fees. In the US, 1 in 2 workers are covered by private health insurance, paid for by their employer. So while millions of Americans became unemployed overnight, they also lost their health insurance. It is common to negotiate rates in American hospitals.
You own a
catering company?
Yes, we do. We hire, but we've lost like $60,000 in the last 3 months.
Oh, wow.
From people canceling because of COVID.
Marc didn't make much progress with negotiating at the clinic by the time he had to leave.
Well, they didn't tell me how much, but my first quote was $11,000. So I think they're going to try to reduce it. And I've got to call today and make an arrangement. So maybe we can talk then, and we'll find out how much. Later on today, we'll find out how much they're going to charge us. So, well, if you don't have insurance, of course, that's where it's going to have to work. Or you live with your injury. Lots of people do that. Yeah, it's not uncommon. But you know, we have to fix my kid's arm. You know, that's all we got to do. So, all right.
The health system in the US is one of the most expensive in the world. Marc has experienced this firsthand after breaking his collarbone in a car accident a year ago. After seeing the price of the operation, he decided not to be treated.
You know, see this right here? This is broken. This has been separated, and I can't do nothing about it. Unless, you know, if I grab some money, like $2,000 or maybe $3,000, I can go to Mexico and get it fixed.
Yeah.
Here, this surgery will cost $15,000. If I want to cover my family, it's $1,500 for 8. So, you know, you're like $1,500 insurance monthly. We'd probably die before we could pay it in insurance.
28 million Americans, around 10% of the population, do not have health insurance. Marc has no choice. He'll have to go into debt to pay for his son's treatment. A few days later, things are looking up for Marc and Selene.
Papi, te tienes que sentar, papá. La primera cosa que voy a hacer es preparar la carne, okay?
After several months without work, they finally got a catering job. It's for one of their friends who is organising a small get-together. So, to help the couple out, she's hired them for the evening. The head of the household
Hello.
is 38-year-old Miriam.
Hey, Mark. I got the potatoes.
This woman runs an air conditioning business. This is the first party she's organised since the end of lockdown.
Like we used to. Mark always catered for us. He's catered for basically every event we've ever had. So 30, 50 people.
Wow, nice.
Yeah. For the baby shower.
Oh, the baby shower you had quite a bit.
Yeah, that was probably our biggest one.
They are making the last preparations before the event starts. But Marc is especially worried about the children.
Enjoy the water. I don't want anybody getting hurt. You never know. Just.
The first guests start to arrive.
I'm good. How are you?
You look nice.
That in the
It's new. They're just opening. I did their air conditioners.
On the menu this evening, a Mexican buffet and some booze. Miriam's husband, Tim, has come to help out.
We needed your muscles.
This Texan made his fortune in oil. His hunting trophies are hung up in the living room. But this rich oil entrepreneur has another passion. His car collection is housed in the next room. Ferrari, Corvette, Plymouth. Luxury toys that Tim loves to show his guests.
Well, I mean, these days, you know, they're getting up to 1,500 horsepower. What are you going to do with all that, you know?
My friend.
I get pulled over every time. First time I drove that one, I got circled by 5 sheriff's cars.
Yeah, my friend's a car guy. He would love this. It's a memory of Fred gives.
Texans don't shy away from showing off their success, but they also know how to be generous. Following Marc's call for help on social media, Miriam organised a fundraiser. She took advantage of the evening to tell the couple how much money they had raised.
I'm frozen. Okay, now, well, Mark, I guess it was a good fundraiser. We were able to raise $6,546,000.
I didn't expect that, really. Yeah.
$6,500 plus the $500 for the catering job, a sum they could never have dreamed of.
We now we could pay not be evicted. We're about to be evicted, so that helps out a whole lot. We're very humbled, actually.
Thankful for everybody that helped us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
COVID-related fundraisers in the US have raised $625 million since the start of the pandemic. Most of this money has gone to family businesses like Marc and Selene's. While the health crisis has left many Americans in trouble, for others, COVID has been an opportunity to make money. 1,500 miles away, California. Here, life almost seems normal, even though wearing a mask remains mandatory. In LA, some entrepreneurs have taken advantage of the crisis to manufacture anti-COVID products. 29-year-old Thomas, originally from France, is visiting his production workshop this afternoon.
On arrive à Fashion District. Tout le monde est rassemblé ici. Il y a à la fois des usines, il y a des fournisseurs de tissus, de fils, tout ce dont tu as besoin pour faire des vêtements.
Thomas launched his startup in 2016. His business idea? Clothes that protect against radio waves generated by cell phones. With the arrival of COVID, he decided to also start making masks that protect against the virus. Thomas checks the quality of his products with the factory manager.
Yeah, this one looks good. Yeah. It's nice.
Have extra protection because it's 3-ply, right?
Aux États-Unis et à Los Angeles, tout le monde était en pénurie de masques. Donc on s'est dit, tiens, nous on a une technologie qui peut s'appliquer aux masques. Donc c'est comme ça qu'on s'est dit, pourquoi pas adapter notre tissu pour faire des masques. Et donc avec cette doublure en fil d'argent qui est antibactérienne, antivirale, on a vendu des dizaines de milliers déjà. On est quasiment, si on compare pré-Covid et post, je ne sais pas si on peut dire post-Covid, mais en tout cas après le début de l'épidémie, on fait à peu près du x3 en termes de volume de vente chez nous.
The sales boom has been so large that the workshop is short of staff.
Production has been up like 60-80%. Dealing with China is a big risk. All the factories and all the orders are coming domestically now. So that's why we're more busy since the COVID hit.
These anti-radio wave masks sell at around $24. The young entrepreneur heads off with today's stock.
So we have 250?
250.
Okay.
We got more coming tomorrow.
Okay, sounds good. So yeah, if you can deliver it to Santa Monica.
I'll be going to Santa Monica tomorrow.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Jay.
All right,
have a good day.
All right, you have a good day.
A few miles away, in Santa Monica. This is where the French startup's offices are. The workplace atmosphere has completely changed in recent months.
Il y a personne ici? Non, c'est totalement vide. Les 4 étages du building sont vides. Tous les bureaux sont fermés en ce moment en Californie. Et donc nous, comme on fait des produits contre le Covid, on a le droit de venir travailler au bureau. Mais tous les autres, ils travaillent de la maison.
The building houses 20 or so American startups, a co-working space where more than 100 people were working pre-COVID. Thomas and his partner Arthur moved to California 2 years ago. They quickly found success with American customers.
C'est important qu'on puisse bien communiquer avec les ventes qui explosent en ce moment.
Là-dessus, on est bon, on va être prêt à lancer cette semaine.
Super.
The adventure began for these two with the anti-radio wave underwear.
J'imagine que comme la majorité des hommes, tu as ton téléphone tout le temps sur toi. Donc on a maillé du fil d'argent avec du coton et ça nous permet de recréer le même principe qu'un bouclier électromagnétique. Et donc avec ça, on est capable de bloquer 99% des ondes, téléphone portable, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, etc. Donc avec ça, tu gardes ton téléphone dans ta poche et tu sais que tes précieuses sont protégées.
Underwear, hats, t-shirts, their clothing is a big hit. And according to their American shareholder,
Hey James.
Their small business could take them far. Arthur needs to update him on sales.
If you look at from the beginning of the year, we're like 8x compared to January. So it's kind of crazy.
James has invested a lot of money into Thomas and Arthur's business, and given the amount of sales they're making during COVID, he doesn't regret funding their startup.
It's interesting. I mean, there's definitely winners and losers right now. E-commerce in general has done relatively well throughout this crisis. We'll see how that continues. Where health meets e-commerce is going to do particularly well. We don't get into any business if we don't think it could be worth hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue.
On pense que demain, les vêtements qui te protègent au quotidien seront les vêtements que tu porteras, tout comme quand tu rentres dans une voiture, tu mets ta ceinture de sécurité. All right, thanks, James. That was awesome.
No problem. Thanks, guys. Nice
Appreciate
meeting
your
you.
feedback.
Have a good day.
But even in wealthy California, some people aren't making their fortunes. With the health crisis, there are more and more homeless people on the streets. In front of buildings, in parks, poverty is everywhere. The state of California already has 150,000 homeless. This number could increase by 30%. Now, even middle-class families are finding themselves out on the street. In San Diego, those who have a car at least have some sort of roof over their heads and can spend the night in secure parking lots.
Hi, Tucker.
Let's go.
This is the fifth night that Stephen, Anita and their dog Tucker are spending in this parking lot.
So many people are homeless on the streets every night here in San Diego and across America. So we're really grateful for our vehicle is our home right now, but we're grateful for it.
Stephen was in sales. In his former life, he was earning up to $100,000 a month, thanks to his commission. Anita worked in a research institute.
Subscribe to the inside. Hi. How are you? Are you guys new here? 4 or 5 nights now. Did you come from out of state or are you from here?
We're from San Diego.
Me too. Look where we ended up, huh?
Because of COVID, Anita and Stephen lost both their jobs and their house. After 3 months in a hotel, they'd used up all their savings. They now carry their old life on the roof of their car.
So here's my real clothes.
There's a tie.
There's a couple ties. I'm used to, coming home to a house. I never came home to a parking lot before, so I just got to get back to my feet, and who knows, it could be very soon.
This parking lot is open for free in the evenings to help families who have recently become homeless. It is managed by an association that pay a concierge and manage the facilities. There is a shower block and a bathroom, and also places for storing supplies.
You can store any frozen foods that you may have. Ice if you need ice for cold drinks, and just anything in the refrigerator that you need to have stored there. You can mark it, your initials.
Outside, there's a dedicated space for cooking. Anita and Stephen aren't the only ones to have been thrown out into the streets by the epidemic. Milo was the owner of a boxing club that closed due to COVID.
Well, it's more secure, and they feed you meals every now and then. You got showers, you got bathrooms, so it's pretty accessible.
Even though he lives in his car, Stephen still enjoys the small pleasures of his former life. He'll never miss a game when his favourite team are playing. Tonight, around 20 people will spend the night in this parking lot. Other cars keep arriving late into the night. The next day, the couple are already up by sunrise. It's 7 a.m. Anita and Stephen are the last to leave the space.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Even though they're currently unemployed, the couple still hope to find some accommodation. Every day they look at offers online and dream of finding an apartment. But the rent is far too high.
What about that? 1 bedroom, 1 bath, $1,250.
Sure.
Okay. Let's see. Studio apartment.
Normally when I'm working, I make $6,000 to $7,000 a month. And then with this, it's $1,200.
That's it's a lifestyle change.
$1,200. That's how much the couple receive from the state every month. A fund introduced during the COVID crisis, but doesn't even cover the rent of a studio apartment in California. And since both are behind on their bills, there's no hope of getting a loan from the bank.
It's one of the biggest things in America. You have to have good credit. Your credit score is basically, it's a reflection of when you're on time every month paying your bills, paying your debts. If you're on time every month for a couple of years, your credit number gets higher. And then creditors, places trust you more. Once you miss a bill, that gets reported to the credit bureau and your number just drops. You start ending up on the bad end of it, and no one trusts you with buying stuff. So,
a relentless system that hasn't even been relaxed during a crisis. To forget their troubles, Anita and Stephen spend their days walking along the beach, one of the few places where you can relax for free. The couple wants to keep hope that better days will come.
capitalism works. It has worked time and time again, and it is the American dream is capitalism, is owning your piece of the pie. No, you'll never kill the American dream. No.
Since filming, Stephen and Anita have found work. However, they are still looking for somewhere permanent to live.